So, hello, Latinos in Clinical Research. Welcome back to our May 2021 webinar. We've got Carla Vera Navas on. She's a phase one guru. She's a self-made business person doing really, you found a niche. Today we spoke to somebody, Chris and I spoke to somebody on the phone who had this idea. They want to start a CRO, but they have no background in research. We told them, we steered them away. We said start a site first, and then if you do go the CRO route, you need to find yourself a niche. And you came up, Carla. Look at Carla. This is the video we did. This is how she started. She found a niche. She found a tremendous need in the early stage phase one monitoring. A lot of these biotechs, they understand that they're not going to get the attention from IQVIA or PPD that they might get from Carla's company. And so there's a huge niche for Carla. And really, Carla's has an amazing story. So we're here to let her share her background. And then we're here to answer any questions or career questions, business questions, anything you can think of questions, phase one questions, very high level, very in the trenches questions, whatever you want, feel free. We're watching the comments section, and welcome, Carla. How's it going?
Hi, thank you for having me, guys. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here in Latinos in Clinical Research. I have my shirt. I got my shirt the mail a couple of weeks ago, so I was getting ready for today.
Thank you so much, Carla.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I actually can't wait till you come visit California because we're going to do a podcast in person when you do come out next month, hopefully next month, and make a visit. But for those who don't know who you are, can you just introduce yourself? Your story is very inspirational. We'll have the link underneath this video for the full interview I did with you. But can you give like a 5-minute version or a 3-minute version?
Sure, sure. So I'm Ecuadorian by birth. I came at the age of 18 years old. And then one of my first jobs actually was as a receptionist in a phase one facility here in South Florida. So I was kind of the person who will handle the consents, checking the patients, let the coordinators know that they're here. And then I started on data entry, very basic. And then I kind of moved forward to QA, then to take on studies itself, coordinators. I'm dealing with monitors, and in a kind of it kind of my career took a life on their own, and pretty soon I believe in 2009, maybe I'm off with the years. Correct me if I'm wrong. I finally was able to. One of the things we found here at that 2007-9 is that there were not many Spanish-speaking CRAs. So the opportunity came for sites that were developing in Latin America. They needed an Spanish-speaking CRA. So this company have worked with me in the past. Like we have met the person working together, and they knew I was very fluent in Spanish, and also knew a lot on how to handle monitors and the reason why monitors visit a course. So they gave me a chance. They gave me a 2 weeks, which I believe it was my training as a CRA, but it was more like here are the sites and here's what we expected to be done. And I was handling 8 sites throughout Latin America, which is kind of different because now you have different regulations and different IRBs to deal with. So it was like kind of a very quick process that I had to learn and move fast to it. Also in that company, I was able to, the other part of the business was business development with finding new investigators and finding them job for them. So my job precisely was to try to locate investigators that we were reliable and were willing to learn how to do a site in their countries. So that's how I got started. I lasted maybe there for like 7 years, and I did from visits to the sites to help them out to FDA visits because some of our inspectors, they don't speak Spanish, so it's hard for them even to review records at some point. So I had to be there to facilitate communication if necessary. So then I got tired of traveling so much. I mean, there was so many weeks there. I will come on on a Friday and leave again on a Sunday. And I do have kids, so my little kids took a hit those years, but that helped me to be able to get a job more based in the U.S. I did have to pay my fair fee here, where I had to travel all over in the U.S. and gain experience in U.S. sites, and then it kind of worked from there. I mean, me and my family, which my sister is also on the line, we started our own research site, which she ran for several years very successfully. And I was overseeing that with her. We also took on some Latin American sites on their own. So we noticed that here in South Florida, there is a lot of sites that offer phase one, but there are not many monitors that have that experience. So I decided to open better services on 2000 and maybe 10 or something like that. And my clientele, it's all the facilities that do phase one. Some of them phase two, phase three, but our phase experience is with phase one CROs or phase one sponsors that are not necessarily going to the big CROs to do this type of studies.
Yeah, that's a very inspirational story. I mean, what was it that gave you the idea to go from being a monitor to starting your own company?
Well, for us, it was a family decision. At the time, my family was transitioning from a home health agency, and we also had the tools. Like they had the connections with doctors, and they had a connection with patients. So I told them, look, this is a really good connection, because now we just need to make it a site, because we had all the connections. So it was not easy. It was just I guess a transition was a little bit more easier than someone that doesn't have any of those connections already in place. So that's what really helped. So we opened the site, I believe, back in 2009, and we closed the business in 2021, actually
Wow.
2020. And the reason being is because my sister and I run the business, while my sister was running the day to day, and she was like, I'm ready to keep growing in the part of the industry and not necessarily just be a site. So that's what she's doing. She's now a PM with, I'm sorry, my phone is going off.
Did your experience as a site owner, because you owned a site for over a decade, did your experience as a site owner help you kind of become like a mini CRO? I mean, even though
Yeah.
you're just doing monitoring services, but you're still like a mini CRO basically.
Yes, so I think one of the things, because this was a family business, one of the things we really understand, and it's at heart of our family, is that we understand when a business work, and only the owner or whoever it's paying the bills understand how important each single job is. So for us, like for me, if I'm gonna be doing, I only do monitoring service, but if it requires to do a startup in one of my contracts, and my client doesn't want to pay another $15,000 for another company to do, and I can include it in my budget, well, then it's a win-to-win situation. They don't have to hire anyone else. They just hire me for that, and the budget is pretty much an adaptation to whatever we had, and there's already trust built in that relationship. So for us, it's really like we take on heart that this is our clients, these are futures for people, and we need to make this as excellent as possible. That doesn't mean we're not perfect. I'm not perfect by no means. I make mistakes daily and I keep learning, but our intention, or my intention, is to deliver the best that we can.
So I'm curious, and if you already mentioned this, I apologize, but who was first to enter the research industry, you or your sister Carla? And whoever was first, how did they learn of research?
So it was me through the receptionist job at the phase one facility. But because I earned so much, like learning in so little years, one of my positions there was data entry. So I remember the phase one place that we're working at, we're needing people to do data entry. So my sister, a 15 or 16-year-old, would come with me on the weekends to help me do data entry at the company.
So you basically answered a help wanted ad to work at a phase one facility?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So I got her in. Then other friends of mine were phlebotomists, and they were like, "Oh, we need a job," and I was like, "Work here." And now they are like CRAs or site owners and things like that, because it just grows on you once you understand that you grow. So
Sure.
sister, it's part of the industry. My mom is a patient recruitment specialist.
Wow.
My brother can deal with everything that has to do with CTMS and all the records and medical records. He knows all the ins and outs of
So
medical.
it runs in the family.
Yes,
Wow, that's a true family business.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have people.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Back
That's-
before he passed away, and I'm talking about 2010 and 11, he was already going in clinicaltrials.gov and trying to find new studies for our site. So
Mhm.
our whole family like took off on research, and that's what we do for a living actually now.
Well, that's really cool.
And you were the first.
I was the first, yeah.
And
yeah.
you know what? Just to say what you mentioned here, this is why Latinos in clinical research is doing what we're doing. She's a perfect example of grassroots. When you have one individual in the family come in, understand the industry, not only can they teach, right, and explain what clinical research is and kind of bridge that gap, but it's also because, who knows, you can also bring them into the industry, help them get better paying jobs, help them kind of get exposure. I mean, this is why we wanted Latinos in clinical research, one of the many reasons why.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Carla. It's really awesome.
Not a problem. So right now I'm working on my kids. So right now my kids are helping out in calendars, scheduling my visits, getting ready my folders when I go to my sites. They have me all my files ready for the week and things like that. So they're going to be the future of the company if they decide to take on it. I don't want to make it an enforcer, but they do like the traveling, and they're all excited about traveling and going in and out. So let's see what happens.
That's so
That's cool.
inspirational. Oh my gosh, I love how you have your family involved. That's really amazing. I think ultimately for me, my end goal is to be in research and all that, but also facilitate my family, right? And so it's really great to hear that somebody's done that on that scale, because I've heard a few people, but to where your whole family and your kids, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so my ex-husband also is a CRA because I introduced him to the business. And my husband currently is a CRA in the business now, which David already met. So Dan already met, I'm sorry. So yeah, I think one of my skills is I like to teach people. I hate when people don't want to learn because I'm a teacher by heart. Like if you see someone and you tell me, oh, they're new to research, I'll be explaining from 0 to 100 what is this each step. And then sometimes I even have to ask, do you need this? Because they don't need it. And they really have already all the experience. And I'm like teaching them again. But I'm a teacher by heart, by explaining by experience. I think one of my downfalls, now that we're talking about education, because I got a job at so early age, I never completed my degree for nursing. Has it affected me? Yes. Please, if you are doing your school, I'm not an advocate to not do it. Do it. I sometimes don't get an interview because I don't have a bachelor's, and that really bothers me because once they talk to me, they know I have a lot of experience. I just need to get my foot in, and sometimes it's really hard when you don't have a bachelor's. I cannot tell you how many times they tell me, this client won't even interview you because you don't have a bachelor's. But once I see my CV, they're like, okay, we'll make an exception. I usually get the job on the same day because they can see that I have a lot of experience. But it's not that I'm a unique case. I'm sure there is a couple more like me, but it doesn't usually happen. So for me, it was a combination of luck and a lot of experience at a very young age.
Yeah, it's definitely unique, I mean, to say the least, but it shows you the versatility of owning a company. I mean, not just the fact that you have something to pass down to your kids, and you control, by the way, the fact that your kids can gain experience, right? And your husband can work with you. You can't do this if you were to work at a big CRO. I mean, you control the narrative, and at the end of the day, if you have that many studies and it's on your resume and it's your own CRO and you're so niche, like there's not too many people that are able to understand phase 1. And Carla just taught our phase 1 class on the CRC and the CRA Academy. So that just goes to show you like the power of what a little bit of experience can do once you get your foot in the door. It opens up all the options and you can start seeing like everything that's out there. And Carla's story is very interesting in the sense that she was able to see where the industry was going, where the needs were. She had the site, did that for a decade. It's not easy to do, and then started the phase 1 monitoring services, which is probably even more of a demand. And you're how's business now? You're getting tons of business, right?
Oh God, yes, we're busy. I mean, we had to outsource some of our CRAs. So one of the challenges was to get people that had phase 1 experience. So I had to do some interviewing and training to get CRAs to be able to help us. But yes, we were. It's kind of really tight now with COVID. Everything it's becoming very fast. I mean, they open a bridge that we didn't have before. You know, before you would take maybe 2 years and a half to get an approval. Now with everything that's going on, we can see that we can do it faster. So all the companies are trying to do everything faster, and you just have to move on and adapt at this point.
I can't wait till you come to California. We can talk business, how to expand coast to coast. We're out here in California. You're out there in Miami. Hey, Daniel, welcome. Nice to see you. How's it going? I see your hand raised. So yeah, feel free to ask Carla or any of us any questions.
Thank you, Dan. Carla, I had a question for you. I want to circle back to what you said about your bachelor's degree because I think it resonates with a lot of us. I'll speak for myself. I had to drop out of school and I had to go to school at nights and on weekends to get the bachelor's degree because I knew it was a requirement. Tragically, in my opinion, it holds back so much talent in the Latino community to pursue these roles. And I wanted to get your input because I've always thought about that requirement being a bottleneck that creates inequitable access to entry-level roles, when in fact, if we think, at least if I think about my trajectory, I didn't have the luxury to pursue full-time school and not have to work alongside that. And then my academics suffered and then life was happening. So I had to turn to become a caregiver. That can turn into a very leaky pipeline for the next generation of clinical research to include Latinos. I know it's the same for, you know, our Black community as well. And it's very frustrating because I've been there. I've been there where it's like, well, you don't have the bachelor's degree. It's like, what will this degree do for me in terms of the real world experience I've had on the unit, right, coming up in my career? And then of course you get hired, right? Because you can dance circles around the CRAs who had the perfect 4.0 bachelor's degree and had that, you know, perky internship, but don't have the experience you do. It's something that frustrates me so deeply. And I think it's a real problem, right? It's like, what can we do to make sure that that access pipeline to entry level roles where the bachelor's degree isn't a barrier to that?
Yeah, so one of the things and I'm talking about my own experience and I'm talking about little things that I try to do.
Yeah.
So I know ACRP a few years ago, maybe a year ago, we were trying to do a requirements to get coordinators, or what was the perfect requirement for coordinators and CRAs. And this is where I had really difficulty because I had played all those roles. However, I never had a bachelor's.
Yeah.
And to me, it was hard to make others understand that, yes, you know, it's nice to have that in their resume, but you cannot deny people access because a bachelor's doesn't really tell you the level of intelligence or the level of skills that you have.
Yeah.
It just tells you that you completed something. And to be honest with you, I had a couple of interviews where they asked me why I don't have a bachelor's, and they made me feel bad actually because you know, life happened and I decided to have kids, and I cannot feel blame because I felt to be a mother before, you know, completing my bachelor's. And I'm sure that happens to a lot of people. So what I do, you don't know how many clothes have clothes, but one of the things I always say to people is that commit to yourself to whatever you're doing. So let's apply this a little bit more. So for the coordinator role, I remember that I will now ever think I will be a CRA because every CRA that came to the clinic was either a doctor's from another place or have a master's degree. So I was like, no, this is out of the question. So let me do my coordinator role as best as I can. And I
Mhm.
deliver crazy timelines. Like if we needed data entry in 24 hours, I was there. Nighttime people, I was there. So CRAs started picking up on my name. Like now I can actually speak to someone from Merck that I work on 2009 because they remember my name, because they remember all the efforts that I had. And that's what really helped me switch that bachelor's degree in my instance, and they will make exceptions and speak to me because people already know me a lot.
Yeah.
So what I'll suggest is that there's a lot of little companies like mine that will look people for CRAs, and they will open up the arms for a person who doesn't have a bachelor's, and they will train you, and because they want the commitment.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of finding them, and they're not easy to find. Like right now, if you live in Florida, I will probably need to get an interview with someone, but that's a main issue. All my clients are here in Florida, in South Florida, but I'm sure, I know there is some phase 1 units in Kansas. I know there's so many phase 1 units in North Carolina, and there are monitoring services that are occurring that we just don't know because they're so small. And biotechs or little pharmas cannot afford to hire IQVIA, PPD. They're looking for people that can do the job at a less and more effective time and budget. So that's where we came in. So I'm telling you, if you start looking for monitoring services or project management services, and you can start knocking on those doors.
Yeah.
Once your name gets out there, you'll see the jobs will start coming in to you, because that's what happened. The recruiters know now my name, and they're like, listen, I heard of you. I heard you on Link. I heard you work with someone else. I heard, even in Europe, I have never been in Europe, but I work with so many European companies that are like, oh yeah, I know, we know you, we work from here, we're working from there. And then make
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna do
community.
this. You can hang up, but you can't make noises, okay?
If you can do whatever you're gonna do, just deliver. Like I have one time that my client was, I was leaving a company because the study was over, and they needed just to do closeout visits. And they were like, if I let you go right now, I'm gonna have to hire another person, and in 2 weeks it's not gonna be done. So I decided to stay with them for 30 days so I can do all these closeout visits. The same client now called me just maybe a month ago. They have another study, and I'm first on the list to calling me, because not a lot of CRAs will give 2 weeks doing 2 jobs just to make sure that this client is living happy. You see what I'm saying? So it's also the amount of commitment that you have, and it takes several sleepless nights. I cannot tell you how many times I had to put kids to bed and write a report, but just that's the way it works. And then it will happen for you. It's there. The opportunities are there.
I think that's the part that people don't focus enough on, is the amount of work it takes. And by the way, the next decade is going to be very favorable to you, Carla, and anyone like you who manages to do what you've done. Because like I always said, this year, I started saying this last year, small is the new big. The long tail of clinical research is where all the opportunities are going to be. That's where all the exceptions are made too. Right. And then Evelyn, thank you for being patient. I see you with your hand raised. Feel free to ask Carla any questions.
Well, at first I want to apologize. I thought that I had muted, but I had taken off the volume.
No
Still trying
worries,
to
no
work this out.
worries.
And then another thing is, I know that Dan started out with saying that Carla had a niche. There was a lot of niches, in my opinion. Which one was the specific niche that you felt like worked for you? Because I feel like the universe literally was prepared for you to do this. Like, regardless if you have your bachelor's or not, honestly, you're beyond prepared and better for it. Because I'm the complete opposite. I'm having the opposite problem. I have a bachelor's, I have medical experience, but I'm not getting anything. And I'm working on it. I'm working with Ashley. So I'm, hopefully not too long from now, I'll get there. But
like,
for the
Kelly,
most part,
just call me whenever you feel lower down, I'll spend my time with my mother.
one day I want to be there as well. And then one day I want to be able to open my own, place as well. But of course I need to get that experience and understand what I'm going to put myself through. So when Dan says, she found a niche, like, what's your niche? I want to know, so I can try to see and understand and try to put my own kind of puzzles within it.
So because we I live in South Florida, and again, I don't think I'm the exception. I'm sure there's some people also like me, but because I live in South Florida, the Spanish portion came really useful here, because even now, if you speak, or maybe I'm speaking wrong, but if I go through the list of people that I know for CRAs, still there is maybe of 20, 2 or 3 would speak Spanish.
Got
And
it.
that's what helped for us. Because even in Puerto Rico, where the language is supposed to be only, well, for research only English, they still, like ICON will send me to Puerto Rico because they would rather send me than someone that doesn't speak Spanish. And the same thing for several companies. Like, I cannot name names, but I have one company that I was traveling only to Puerto Rico for, a week at a time, because they had so many sites, and there was a problem in understanding each other, and the reports were not a quality, because if the CRA cannot understand what the coordinator is saying 100%, it's going to be an issue.
So I live in Orlando, Florida, and I kind of have a very similar culture.
Yeah.
So if that is like the need and the niche, then that's probably something that I could definitely look forward to,
So,
because I'm fluent as well, and also Ecuadorian, by the way.
I'm Ecuadorian too. Nice to meet you, Evelyn.
Nice to
So,
meet you.
so if I was in Orlando, and I don't know if you're at a site level, one of the things I will promote myself with is that I speak Spanish. Get me all my documents in Spanish. And I remember even in South Florida, I was working with a derm that only saw, English speaker patients. They didn't have anyone in Spanish. And by the time I left, we were able to fulfill all of the enrollments because I was speaking Spanish and I was seeing all these patients. So it's not, to now, and this is just on a personal level, my kids speak Spanish at my house. I don't allow them to speak English, because you have to teach them. That's having like a 2-person in one just speaking Spanish. So start promoting yourself with that. Like I will tell the CRAs, get me a Spanish consents, get me Spanish material. And my site manager will be, well, we don't have many. Well, then I make some, start making phone calls.
So if I don't read or write in Spanish, I need to start getting used to it a little bit better, just to be able to actually
And what helps you
assist in
is
that
that
sense.
Spanish consent. Go through a Spanish consent, you'll get that coming back like that, because you'll get that medical terminology back to you. Because I also learned medical terminology in English, so for me it was hard. And I would review the Spanish consents and Spanish materials, and I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna have whatever in Spanish, and I was like, okay. And then reading those materials, I understand that. So that's what
Thank you
worked.
so much. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
And
Evelyn.
something I did want to mention after, just that question with Evelyn, but also the question that Daniel had, Carla, perfect example, right? If y'all have that situation where you resonate with her story, a good way to prepare yourself, right? To kind of get yourself in that space to where, if you don't have a bachelor's or you feel that you're lacking in some area, a good thing that I like to tell my clientele is that on LinkedIn, for instance, that of course, if Carla or if other individuals, professionals that actually are utilizing their page fully, you can go there, you can look at their LinkedIn, look at the certs that they have, look at the different types of affiliations they have, go and check what their skill set is. And if there's anything you're missing, you can work over time to mold yourself into that professional, right? If that's what you're looking to do. So, for instance, if you're looking to be part of a CRO or you want a project management, you don't have to wait to get that experience. You can go and look for the individual, go see what they already have, and look to find those free resources, those free connections here on Latinos in Clinical Research, on other organizations. You can go and find these individuals on, again, LinkedIn, and over time mold yourself to kind of accelerate your place, right? And so how you can fit that. So maybe a year, 2 years from now, you don't have a bachelor's, but you have all this background and knowledge. You can get to the interview and say, you know what, you need me. You're behind on X amount of CRAs, X amount of RSMs, or X amount of project managers. I have the skills that you need. You not giving me that opportunity because of my bachelor's is at a loss for you. I can go get a job somewhere else, right? Give that assertiveness, show what you have when you come with all this knowledge, just like Carla does. And you make the opportunities for yourself. But I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, Carla is the perfect example that when there is a will, there is always a way.
That's right.
Definitely.
Yeah, and to add to that, I know Evelyn, you were mentioning, about learning, going back and reading and talking more Spanish. There's so many things online now you can listen to, YouTube videos, even just pull up ensayos clínicos on YouTube, and there's a bunch of videos. Just listen to them, keep repeating that information, and that'll help you with a lot of those, clinical research terms too.
I think the thing that makes me a little worried was because she said reading and writing. I literally, I have to read it in English and sounds like I'm from America when I'm reading in order for me to understand what I'm saying, because I speak it fluently. That's not a problem, and I can help anybody with it. But the problem is I can't read it and I can't write it.
Well, you're
And
not
so,
need to write it. You're just gonna need to read it. So
okay, perfect. I
so
can
you
do
can
that.
just say it again. And the other thing that's great with what you do is that if you get a Spanish records, it's a regulation. It needs to be translated by someone who has no native language but understands the language enough, so the doctor who may not be a Spanish speaker can sign off on it. Because we have here in Florida, we have medical records from Cuba, from Venezuela, and that doesn't mean the patient cannot participate. It's just that we need to translate that to English language.
I understand. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
So I guess one of the things that I want to mention here is that find what you like and make it your spotlight. For example, my sister is a great example for that. She is very into admin and quality control, and that's her thing. That's what she likes. And when we started our business together, one of the things in our little promo was clinical research in excellence, because literally she will check those charts to make sure everything was okay, like 100 times. And then she will make her staff work through the whole thing, and that what makes clients come back. Also, I know some people that like only to deal with patients. Like I'm not really good at phone calls. Like I would like I'm on speaking on the phone and I'm 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, whatever. If there's anything else to talk about, I'll call you later. I don't like to be on the phone so long. I'm getting text. But there's other people that like to be on the phone for a while, and these are the people that you need for patients, because they want to have that conversation, that human touch. And one of my friends is a perfect example for that. They can talk anything to anyone, even to a stranger. So they will speak with the patients, and the patient knows the mother-in-law who has this connection, and make them help them to make an appointment at the ophthalmologist because they don't know how to do it, and that will bring more patients in. And that's how they got this Spanish population trend coming in. So make it whatever, as Dan said, the niche. Look or find what you like and stick to it. I have also other examples for that. Medical records. It is here in South Florida. I don't know how it's in other states. It's kind of impossible to get medical records. So we need to find a person who actually has the skills to call the hospitals, get on the phone, try to get to the doctors, things like that, to get medical records. And that's their thing. Also, data entry was another thing. I like to do data entry. I'm a person who likes processes. Once I understand the process and some process don't make sense, it will jump on me and I'll tell you what the error is. So stick to that. So whatever it is that you like in research, just stay with it and make it your spotlight. Make sure that people, whoever comes in that office, who is a CRA especially, make them jump and let them know how vital you are to the organization you're working on. That's literally what worked for me and all the time. Every company that I come and left, they miss me and they want me back for some reason. You just have to find the reason why.
Yeah, I really love that. I mean, this is especially the case for transferable skills for people who may not have the research experience. But if you've done your own homework, if you've really studied the industry, or even better, I mean, here's a wild concept: study the company you're applying for. Like, if you study them even for a few hours, you're gonna learn some of their their needs, and then look at your own skill set and say, okay, well, where do I fit in the context of clinical research? Because just like Carla said, maybe you're really good on the phone, maybe you're very persuasive on the phone, so you can get medical records, or you can bug people until they send you the medical records, which is more likely the case. But how would the employer know that? You know, you have to put that in there. You have to tweak your CV. Ashley Margot can probably talk about this better than I can, but I'm glad all you guys get to meet Carla, because I spent an hour, and it could have been 3 hours, interviewing her on my podcast, but I wanted to get you guys the Carla exposure one-on-one. So keep the questions coming in. Anybody else have questions, let us know. We do have some giveaways, but I'll mute myself. You guys, I think Monica wants to say something.
Yeah, I have two questions for Carla. The first one is, what was the most challenging part for you transferring to phase one? And then I'll ask the other one.
Okay, so for phase one, actually, it was not hard because I was I knew, or I was raised up in the industry in phase one. To me, it was really hard to transition to later phases because they're a little bit more relaxed. So like I would make a big issue when, I don't know, when a signature wouldn't match the consent that I was looking at. And in the forward phases, sometimes we don't even need an ID. And in my clinic, we will do IDs verifications with that. And to me, I was like, oh, how can you do that? You cannot allow this patient in. And they were like, what are you talking about? I mean, you're wacko. Or temperatures that go to our excursion, because we don't have allowable excursion on phase one. So I was like, oh my God, we haven't temperature, and we gave this drug, and I was already freaking out. And they were like, no, it's unallowable, relax. So to me, transitioning to later phases was a little bit more stressful because I was the monitor that went crazy. Like the people knew, oh, Carla's coming, she's not, but she's wacko, because I'll be checking. Learn through that. You live and learn, and I kind of also learned how to do the later phases. So that was how I did it. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great. I mean, you learn first the hardest part of the industry. So it's like you were kind of downsizing on the requirements. And then my next question is, how important do you think an organization like Latinos in Clinical Research is to the industry?
Oh my God, extremely important. I think this is actually, I think Dan, when I spoke to my husband, you guys stole my idea. I wanted to start this back in 2000, I want to say in 2011, because I saw a need and the need was not met. Like I will speak to people, but none of them were Ecuadorians, nor Colombians. And now I see a little bit more, but not as much as I would like. But it's coming together. I think people that are bringing, like you guys are making the effort and dedicating their time. I mean, I wish I could dedicate more time, but between jobs and mom and things, it's hard. But my hats off to the people who can, and I'm really proud of being doing this right now. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I hope I can do this more often. But yes, this is incredible. I think this is an effort that will go a long way. Guys, don't be ashamed of. I've been in some states that when I spoke Spanish, the person who also speaks Spanish wouldn't speak to me in Spanish because they feel ashamed of that. And I was really sad and disappointed about that. They don't know what value of having another language is, and the humbleness that brings me to see someone. Like I not tell you, like a couple of weeks ago, I was in Utah. In Utah, out of all the states, you're not going to be able to find a lot of Spanish people, but I did. And as soon as they knew I was speaking Spanish, they were like, oh my God, you speak Spanish. I'm so glad to see you, because you never know who the other person is. And it's so humbling to know that there's Latinos everywhere, and we just need to make sure we can open the doors to them.
100%
Yeah, I
agree.
agree. Yeah, and some any language, and obviously we're talking right here in Latino, but any language really is important, especially in the industry now that
Oh,
we
yeah.
need so much diversity. So
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I see the effort of doing their bursary. But I have so many ideas to that. I wanted to speak to Dan about that. Because I know we're putting a lot of pressure on that, but we need a commitment from top to bottom. So, and we can do another podcast on that one.
Let's do it. You definitely, when it's all said and done, you can have a
yeah,
career as a motivational speaker as well, because you're getting people pumped up. You're
You
getting
really
people
are.
pumped up.
You are.
Anything else? What else, Ashley? You always keep us on track. What's going on?
All right. Well, since nobody's asked any questions yet, I was gonna leave this for the end, but I might as well ask. So what would you say the importance on focusing for Latinos in clinical research? I mean, not the organization, but just the importance of involving more Latinos both in the workforce and in the industry. But obviously right now for LICR, what we're trying to focus on, we want grassroots, right? So we want to bring in the industry first, and then hopefully from there we can, through resources and all of that, touch down to the grassroots, the family, high school students, college students, etc. What would you say is the most important thing about doing that? And I guess where it's probably headed as far as research is involved.
Yeah. So I think one of the important part is the learning process of it, right? Like right now, my kids continue asking me, "What is it that you do for a living?" I don't get it. What is it that you do? Because we don't teach this at an early age, and it's so important. Like I tell them, if I give you the Tylenol, don't think that I'm giving the Tylenol hoping that it's gonna work. There's been a process. So I take them to a basic level, and I wish people will do that for especially like the grandmas at home who are cooking. They don't know what research is. They probably need this. Um, and the new generation, I think, is going to bring this home to our grandmas, our grandparents, our kids that are coming, because we need it. It's part of our life. People are going to continue to get sick. People are going to continue to get medications. This is our requirement. Now, one of the big push that I'm working on with another company is Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is the next COVID, I think, of the older generation. And I mean, I just turned 40. Don't say anything because I'm trying to keep it in hiding. But we were working in a project that, people as young as 45 were suffering from Alzheimer's. That's 5 years from me. And I want to have a choice when I'm 45, I get the disease. And this is a choice that think about your grandmother, parents, your tios in Colombia, in Ecuador, whatever in the United States. They don't even know there is a potential that a drug it's been developed to issue that, to address this. So I think the little that we do, it changes minds and people's perspective. Also in the community for Latinos. You don't know how many times I heard, I don't want to be the guinea pig. I'm sorry if I don't supposed to use that language, but and I'm like, I done studies myself. I don't feel like I'm a guinea pig. I feel like I accomplished and I was a hero to someone. Maybe not, it will not help my generation, but I bet it will help the next generation. And especially now with COVID, as soon as I got sick, I was like, okay, where's the study? Where do I give my blood? Because I'm like, just do what you need to do. And because I know it so well, I knew that the company was taking all the precautions, and I was their first priority, my safety. And people don't realize that. I mean, it's so basic. All of us work. What's the first rule? First, subject safety. The IRB works towards that, the sponsor towards that, we work towards that, the site towards that. I think our patients are very looked at, and I don't want to offend any doctors, than sometimes in the doctor's office. We know what's happening to our patients even more. So I think what we're doing in Latinos in clinical research is switching that paradigms that are coming, and we're learning more.
When you're saying that patient safety is first, to be honest with you, when I was first trying to understand what was going on with clinical research, that was my first question too, because I honestly, in my brain, I think I've just had it like, oh, people test on animals and on mice, and then we don't think that they're doing necessarily the best thing for them. And so I really did think that. And then the person that was like explaining what clinical research was, they pretty much almost were like offended that I had asked that. And I could see why now, because I know so much more. But in the beginning, it was difficult because that was just like a perception that I already had without understanding.
Exactly. And you don't understand also with my family, when I told them, okay, this is the type of business that I want to do, because they had the resources of the medical community and patients. And they were like, well, how we're going to be able to help these people? And I explained, and they were like, I have to get them off of the paradigm of, I don't want to be a patient in a trial. And I'm like, it's not only that, there is so much more towards that. I mean, I know we've spoken to a couple of people with IRBs, and that's their priority. I mean, if I call an IRB saying that I have a complaint on a site, they're going to be going to the site like in a couple of days. And FDA is not even announcing anymore that they're coming. They will knock the door and go into the site. So that's how I don't think patients realize how much their safety is concerned when it comes to the data that we're developing and trying to get out on the market. And transparency. I mean, the best way to do what you do is just be transparent and communicate everything that's happening. I mean, I will even say, I will even tell to doctors that are like, oh, what is a headache? It's not a big thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a big thing. We don't know if it's a drug, so you better put it in. Mm-hmm. So, that's keeping that in mind has always helped me, because I know in interviews, when they ask me, well, about the drug, about this, about that, and I'm like, well, patient safety first. If I see there is a problem, you will know, and I will bug you about it. Like I will call, and I had been in trouble sometimes because I'll call the sponsor. And I'm like, are you sure this is with safety, with protocol compliance, with IRB compliance? Or like, yes, we did, we check. And I'm like, well, let me know, because I don't know, and I'm gonna bug you about it. So that's the first thing on mine when I get out the door and go to the site.
Okay, last question comes from Judy Galindo, our very own LICR co-founder, who fights the diversity front every single day in Imperial Valley.
Yeah, it's a quick question. How diverse are phase 1 studies with patients that participate?
So, because one of the jewels of being in South Florida is that we do have the Latin community. But I can tell you, maybe 6 years ago, 80% or 90% of my patients were males. So we got males, yes, less women. So maybe 5 to 4 years ago, the sponsors started changing the protocols to make a requirement to have at least 40% of woman population in the study. So now I'm seeing a little bit more diversity. And that's why I'm saying this. I mean, we can ask the sites to be more diversified. I don't know how a site in South Florida can find an Asian patient, and how likely will that be? But it has to come from the top. I mean, this initiative cannot be only addressed to the sites, because sites will tell you what you want to hear. Yes, I will get it. Yes, I can do it. But the end of the times, this, it doesn't happen. And then my site, which is maybe a good site, just because they don't want to lose our opportunity, may lose not having that company come back. So these changes need to come from the top, right to the bottom. They need to be able to assess where the sites are located, what's reasonable and understandable to do. That's why phase 1 here in South Florida works very well, because we have the diversity that we need. I had a couple of studies that do require, and the protocol will tell you, I want 20% African American, I want 5%, I don't know, Asian or whatever. We usually don't meet the 5%. They have to seek for other sites in other locations. So we're not there yet. I think there's a lot of more efforts that need to come from the top again. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because one time, I only seen it one time. I did a phase 4, and I know we spoke about this before, where the company, the sponsor, actually made a commitment to the community, where they were doing trials at a phase 4 in a longer, in a rather bigger site population throughout the U.S., only to get that data from diversity. So that's a sponsor commitment that they had. And I mean, I don't know if that could work, but that's what I'm aiming to, and that's what I will be speaking about it soon, I guess.
And okay, so Ashley, I guess we're gonna do something special. I don't, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much, Carla. It's been awesome. Listen, I do apologize for showing up late. It's been raining like crazy here in Austin. But thank you for sharing your story. It's been amazing, super inspirational. And I know that other people here have definitely taken from the story, and those that will tune in later to the webinar most definitely will. And we hope to have you on again and have more involvement, obviously, of course, as you are able. But all right, you guys. So we are going to do a giveaway. So last month we did the CRA Academy. This month we are doing a t-shirt, Latinos in Clinical Research t-shirt, along with one of Dan's books, the Clinical Research. Tell me the title, Dan. Sorry.
The Comprehensive Guide to Clinical Research by Dan Sfera and Chris Sauber. And the audiobook of the same name, which by the way is better because it's like 2 books because we go off script, but we can't give that away. We can only give the paperback away.
Okay, awesome. So I have put here on the side chat, and I'm so sorry the format came out not like how I have it on my template. I swear it's so much more organized in my template. So the way we're going to do is the same as we did for the CRA Academy, how to be considered. You're going to subscribe to Latinos in Clinical Research website, share one of Latinos in Clinical Research webinars and or video interview, whatever you prefer, and share why you love Latinos in Clinical Research and why you like to be involved. Tag 2 other people on that post. Please tag 2 other people. Last time some people did forget that, so we had to let them know. And lastly, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And again, remember you guys, this is free resources we give out to individuals. If you're finding, value in this information, there's somebody else out there that hasn't found us, that needs Latinos in Clinical Research. They need free value, right? And so please do someone else a solid, share it with them, share it on your feed, because you don't realize how many people you actually reach out to, right, on a daily. So please go ahead and do that. Also, just as a reminder, we have our next webinar June 8th. It's going to be a really great one. But also we are going to have a series throughout June. It's called Career Development. So we're going to be having a live webinar once a week, every week for 4 weeks, or throughout the month of June. So if June is not 4 weeks, excuse me. And so we're going to be discussing, different things. Let me give you the list of what we're going to be covering more or less. I want to make sure I give you specifics, right? One moment.
And by the way,
then,
I put Carla's LinkedIn. Everybody connect with Carla on LinkedIn. You have to get to know her. If you're in this industry, I don't care what level you are, whether you're not in yet or you're a veteran, you need to connect with Carla. She'll get you pumped up. Just 1 5-minute phone conversation. That's why you don't want to be on the phone that long, because you'd be giving people heart attacks any longer. You pump people up, Carla. So there's her LinkedIn. Everybody network with her. Everybody network with one another. Feel free to drop your LinkedIn in the chat as well, so people can connect with you as well.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. And then, do I have time to ask a question to the panel?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so this is, I usually always ask this because I'm curious, I'm a curious mind. So, okay, so tell me, who are you, who is your mentee? Like history person or mentor, I'm sorry. Like history person, I try to avoid any politics on it, but just tell me who and why.
What do you mean, like currently, like who's our
Who's your
like
hero?
who's your hero? Oh, okay,
Past or present?
Wow.
We can do past.
past. Okay. Oof.
I go. I mean, I go. Lee. I go Benjamin Franklin. I go Benjamin Franklin because, like, when he was around. I mean, if he was around today, he'd be like serial entrepreneur doing a whole bunch of different industries. So his range of interest was so vast and wide for the time. He was like way ahead of his time. So for me, it's Benjamin Franklin. There's probably a lot of other people there too. I don't really have heroes, but I guess he would be somebody I would look up to.
My one is Nelson Mandela. He was able to
Oh, wow.
change his country and then the world, and I think that's what we kind of pursuing. Slowly,
That was
hopefully
a
happen.
profound answer, Monica.
Chris, you're next. Chris, you're next.
Dan Severa.
That's right.
Oh,
Aw.
yes,
That's
yes,
sweet. That's so sweet, Chris.
Thank you,
Honestly,
Chris.
honestly, I really don't have a hero. I mean, there's a number of people I somewhat admire, but I don't really put anybody on a pedestal.
Mine used to be Elon Musk until the Bitcoin comments, and then it's not Elon Musk.
Are you hustling me, Dan? Are you hustling me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Dogecoin to the moon.
Well, for me, I think on a personal level, my grandfather from my mom's side, he was an immigrant from Mexico. He came to Chicago, and he pretty much worked in the fields for years. He saved up. He ended up being a building owner and a cantina owner all in one, and being the ultimate entrepreneur in a big city. So it was pretty inspiring story when I heard. I never got to meet him, but I love that story. But I think more on I guess a more bigger scale, I would say Elon Musk. I know, Danny, I like that, but I like it because he does his own thing, and that's it. Like, he does his own thing and he makes his own way, and I think that ultimately, um, you know, I think everybody should, because if you make your own way, we all end up probably be creating so many different things, right? As opposed to just taking the same route as everybody else. And it's very hard to not do that sometimes, right? Especially when you go through the school system and all this stuff, and you're kind of put in these boxes. And so, I think that those that can actually do that and make things happen for themselves like that is super inspiring. So, Latinos in clinical research, I think that's how I think LICR was born, right? Because it's been done, so let's do it. And I think Judy, she stepped out for a
Judy
quick
left,
minute.
yeah, but we have good answer in the chat room. Hewitt Watson said all my ancestors who came before me. That's actually a very good
Ooh,
answer.
yes, very much so.
I'll change mine from Benjamin Franklin to that one as well.
And yours, Carla?
Oh my God, I had so many. I'm a Jesus follower, but leaving the religious part aside, I think he changed the world, one person. Bible is still the bestseller, and you have to wonder why. Number one book still through I don't know how many years. So that would be my number one. Gandhi, I love peace. I cannot work with if I feel that I have an animosity or something or some kind of problem. It's really hard for me to work if I don't getting along with the team. So that's a second person that I look for or look up to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that's awesome to also hear Monica, Chris, and Dan. I didn't know who y'all's inspiration was. It's really good to know. But all right, you guys, let me, just to end it, like I said, we were doing in June, we were going to be doing career development series. So we're going to be going over resume information, business development, finances 101, how to, increase your financial opportunities within the industry. And regardless whether you're in the industry already or not, this is very good to know. So please don't miss out. These kinds of informations are super, super hard to come by, especially when you have like one-on-one, right, with us here and asking these questions. So please don't miss out. We will be posting it on our LinkedIn. If you are not getting those updates on LinkedIn or not on LinkedIn as often, please subscribe to our email list. You will get all of that information straight to your email. Just make it easier for yourself. And that works for me, right? Because I'm not always on LinkedIn. But yeah, and then July, just so you also know, we're going to have a tech series. We're having different tech vendors, tech and clinical research that are going to be also interviewed once a week for that whole month of July. And so there's a lot of things in store with Latinos in clinical research. And just because I'm on a roll, in September, we are looking to have a career fair. So yeah, we're working on these things. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going in the works. So we're very busy. And we want your support. Please share this. Again, the more people we have, the more support we get, and the more we can also bring in sponsors and vendors, right? So please, do what you can to share this information. And yeah, well, thank y'all so much. Monica, Dan, do y'all have anything else?
No, that's it. Good job. Thank you so much, Carla. Again, we really appreciate you coming on, and can't wait to meet you next month and see if we can talk some business, do some networking. And then thank you to everyone who joined. Make sure that you spread the word. This is grassroots. We're not charging anybody any money. If we ever do, it's going to be sponsor level, not consumer level or customer. We want to serve you guys. We're never going to try to sell you anything other than your time. So please try to share this with everybody. We're trying to grow our email list. So make sure they go to latinosinclinicalresearch.com and subscribe so they don't miss out on goodies and giveaways. And thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much.
Y'all have a great week.
You too. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great one.
Bye.